Hi, this is Frances Norton from MA in Creative Practice, and this is the briefing for 705 for the full-time students. As you can see, the deadline's been moved to the 17th of July, and that's because of the COVID virus. So this module is your final module. It's your final major project in your MA in Creative Practice. So well done for getting this far. Brilliant. And this module focuses on the development of students' self-direction and ability to project management, along with the application of problem solving and meaningful critical thinking to the self-directed evaluation and resolution of one's own creative practice. And that could be sculpture, photography, filmmaking, textiles, painting, drawing, floristry, any number of creative projects which you have embarked on. So at the outset of this module, students will be required to revisit their prior approved project plan. So that just means going back to the beginning and thinking about your initial project proposal and how that reflects on what you're making at the moment. Of course, you'll be working with your individual tutor. You might identify and develop contacts, ideally forming reciprocal working relationships with networks pertinent to your career choice. So this just means if you're a painter, then have you got a network of painters that you communicate regularly with, or are you beginning to develop a network of like-minded creatives from the course? By the end of the course, students will have a body of creative work resulting from explorations and research relevant to their chosen creative practice. They will also have contacted a range of practitioners from whom inspiration, feedback and realistic view of creative possibilities will be drawn. So again, this is talking about we want you to have a body of work, a final resolved art piece to put in the show, and a way forward after graduation, where you'll be supported by peers that you have developed a network with. The professional development aspect of the course continues in this module, and as in previous modules, it offers students opportunities to situate themselves and their creative practice within the contemporary context. How the student engages with this component of the course will depend on the development of their career aspirations. A rolling programme of online lectures and seminars continue to heighten the awareness of various creative and cultural contexts. Alternatively, at this level, individual students may access networks that they have identified as pertinent to their career development. So it just means we're continuing, even through lockdown, with virtual lectures and seminars, which of course you're very welcome to come to, but you may have seen them last year, or you may want to concentrate on your own practice during this time. So the aim of 705 is to develop and apply a sustained approach that results in the creative use of concepts and research in resolved, coherent and sophisticated visual, object-based oral or written work. So that's just saying the aim of this project is to create a final major piece that will be put into the show. So you'll be using experimentation and resolution. At the end of this module, you'll be using discernment, distinctiveness in practice that employs a comprehensive understanding of advanced techniques, processes and technologies appropriate to professional high-level practice. So it's about choosing the right materials, choosing the right processes which are going to embody your ideas, your theory and your context in the best way. Project management, as usual, is really important, and especially during lockdown, where a lot of our structures of our day have been moved around or disappeared altogether. It's really, really important to write yourself a timetable, set yourself achievable goals so that you can achieve everything that you set out to achieve in your creative practice. So it's the management of your own development through an open-minded, flexible, creative and innovative approach to self-directed, identifiable, practice-based objectives. Research, again, is still an ongoing part of your project. And you've had that great experience of 704, really concentrating and focusing on what it is that makes your creative project tick theoretically. So the management and production of professional work that demonstrates a synthesis of research ideas, materials and processes is putting those theories into practice. At the end of the module, learners will be expected to demonstrate evaluation and critical analysis. And you might do this in a number of ways. You might have annotations throughout your sketchbook or your blog, or you might write a reflective piece at the end of the project. This would be a really great idea for pulling together all your ideas and reflecting on the course as a whole. And I really recommend that you do a written reflection at the end of 705. So this evaluation and critical analysis needs originality, problem solving, critical thinking and self-development, self-directed evaluation of your own work. Subject knowledge, again, is really important, and this is a master's course and you are level 7 experts. So you're getting towards the end of your course and you are going to have a level of expertise that you didn't have before you started this course. It's an in-depth and systematic understanding of professional, career or practice development in local, national and global contexts. Where does your work sit within Leeds Arts University? Where does it sit in West Yorkshire, in the UK? Do you have a global presence? So think about who else is making the same thing that you're making or something similar, and just kind of think about the way that you understand your own processes and thoughts about your subject. So indicative content for your e-portfolio. Studio practice modules are supported by an overall lecture and seminar programme. This of course will all be online and supported by individual tutorials. You will be continuing to work together with your personal supervisor, and if for any reason this is not working out because of technology or whatever, please get in touch with me, Frances Norton, and we'll try and resolve it or put in extra tutorials. There will be the online lecture programme continuing until hand-in, which will deal with issues surrounding creative cultural practice. We've got lots of guest speakers coming in to talk about their practice, which should be really interesting. Thinking about the function of practice and communities of practice, the context and impact upon form and context, especially during this time of lockdown where we're working in a very different way and we may have had to really adapt our working processes. And then thinking about live projects that you could engage in. Curator Space is still working, Time Bank is still working, and really use those resources to try and get your work into some live briefs and out into the world. Also, there are funding streams from the Arts Council. So the assessment strategies is based on 100% practice-based research projects submitted digitally, and this is a big change because digital submission was kind of an option last time, but now it's an absolute imperative. So all digital work submitted needs to demonstrate learning outcomes indicated above, and you can also find them on eStudio in the module spec and in the module information. Students must signpost where they are evidencing the assessment criteria in their submission. So make it clear where you're using evaluation, where you're using subject knowledge, etc. It's expected that there will be evidence of substantial development of work and decision making. So thinking about where you started in 701 and you're continuing that practice in 705 and coming to a resolution. You want to show planning that is clear for your practical work and shows research processes and resolved pieces of work within the parameters of lockdown and your own domestic situation. Where site-specific or 3D work has been undertaken, the students will need to document work photographically or digitally for submission. And this involves scanning or photographing all practical work, sketchbooks, sculptures, floristry, writing, art and design work for your e-portfolio. Again, submission is 100% digital, and a typical body of work will normally contain elements that are interrelated and form a coherent whole. Students are expected to select the work presented for assessment from a larger body of work undertaken for this module, which means that you don't have to submit everything. Be selective, find your best pieces, find pieces and kind of connective drawings and sketchbook work or notes that show progression of ideas, important turning points in your work. Your e-portfolio will show extensive evidence of your practice from primary and secondary sources. This may include sketches, drawings, photographs, or digitally generated imagery, or other sound art, music, etc. Some judgment and discernment should be evident when presenting evidence for this module. Extensive evidence of the development of ideas in either visual, oral, tactile or written forms. Evidence of experimental with technical methods and processes which are linked to your creative practice and documented in your e-portfolio. Work which demonstrates a sophisticated resolution of the research, ideas, development and experimentation undertaken for 705. And one final piece. And that's it. So good luck with 705. Again, we're always available either on Google Hangouts or Google Meet. I'll try and put in lots of group chats on Fridays so that we can catch up with you, but equally you can email me anytime. So thanks for listening and happy making.